You're now watching The Hot Seat, powered by XS Energy Drink. When you're drinking XS, you're drinking the best. Live from the CSL studio, your host, Nesta Can.
Good night, good night. Welcome to another episode of The Hot Seat. We got a special edition of the 2021 NFL Draft. Once again, we have my boys in the studio, Eric and Trip. What's going on, fellas?
It's really good, man. We happy to be back. Last year, COVID stopped us from being able to come in, so we had to do it virtually.
Yeah.
Right?
Word.
And then the year before I was here, so 3 straight years. I'm happy, man. I'm happy you keep having me back.
Word, that's a fact.
Gotta let you know, gotta let everyone know y'all from the Real Fans, Real Talk podcast. Let us know what hours you guys are on again.
Thursday nights, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. on Verizon 43.
Right.
That's the TV show, and the podcast is on all streaming platforms.
Because I know you guys, it's changed up because of the whole COVID thing. You guys were in the studio.
Yeah,
So
now we record from wherever we are in the world.
All right, so y'all ready to get into this?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys gotta make your picks, not like if you think what's gonna happen, but if you guys were the GM, what would you do with these selections? All right?
I'm gonna be up front right now. I'm hoping that my predictions get me a real GM job. I want to politic this into the real thing.
And when you hear this sound, that means we're ready. All right? Did they play? Hold on. Technical difficulties. When you hear this sound, that means, we gonna... Oops. Here we go. I mean, the pick is in, all right?
Let's get it.
All right, we started with the first pick with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trip, we'll start with you, Trip.
I mean, I'm pretty sure this is going to be like a unanimous selection right here. But if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously I'm taking Trevor Lawrence. Like there's nothing else.
You sure?
I'm taking Trevor Lawrence. He's a generational talent at quarterback. Somebody that can be your franchise leader. He's a winner. Arm strength, accuracy. He pretty much checks all of the boxes. I think he's probably going to be the universal number 1 pick.
Yeah, I mean, we've known for 3 years he's the number 1 prospect. Mm-hmm. He's been labeled as the most, I guess, the better term to use is he's a can't miss prospect, and he's the first one labeled that since Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
We've heard guys like Peyton Manning, John Elway be labeled that as well.
Yeah.
They need a face of the franchise, as Tripp mentioned. They need to be able to sell tickets because they struggle to do that.
Yeah.
He checks all those boxes for them, so they moving forward with Trevor Lawrence.
How do you think about him? You think he's gonna be solid?
I think he's a generational talent. Mm-hmm. I think ultimately his success is going to depend on what Urban Meyer could do at the next level. We've seen in the past that college coaches have had that trouble transition into the NFL. So if Urban Meyer can find a way to get that franchise going and off the ground, then maybe he can do something there. But if Urban struggles, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to struggle as well.
Okay. New York Jets on the clock. What are we doing here?
This was actually a tough one.
Mac Jones, bitches. Nah.
Because I was a little bit torn on this one, but if I'm picking for myself as GM, I'm gonna take Justin Fields at this spot. I know the Jets.
But that's who you picking for. You the GM.
Yeah.
You the GM.
Yeah, so I'm you know what? I'm going with Justin Fields.
Justin Fields.
Man. I got to go with Justin Fields here. I feel like he is the second best quarterback in this draft. I know everybody's talking this big Zach Wilson stuff, but I be a little nervous by these quarterbacks that play at smaller schools in the smaller. I hate to say weaker divisions, but yeah, but the weaker divisions, I be a little nervous about them because we don't really see them playing the Alabamas and the Clemsons and whatnot like that. So I'm iffy with it, but with Justin Fields, I think he is going to be one of those guys.
Yeah, for me as the GM, it's pretty simple. It's got to be Justin Fields. You're looking, if you're the Jets, with the turnover at quarterback, at head coach, you need some stability. Right. You got another new head coach coming in. You don't have a lot of talent on the outside. You don't have a lot of talent in the backfield. So you need a proven winner. And Justin Fields has shown that back-to-back great playoff performances. I've said it over and over again. He reminds me a lot of Deshaun Watson. When Deshaun Watson was getting ready to come out, people kept trying to find issues with his game, and he's shown us on the field. We're not talking about the off the field stuff. Purely on the field, Deshaun Watson has shown us what he can do, and I think Justin Fields is of that caliber. Also, if I'm the Jets, as Tripp mentioned, I know there's a lot of hype about Zach Wilson and his ability to throw from different arm angles and his ability to move out the pocket and create extended plays. There's even been this nonsense of him being similar to Patrick Mahomes. Biggest difference is Patrick Mahomes went to a playoff caliber team already that already had Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt, and obviously Andy Reid at coach. The Jets have none of those things. So I'm not taking a gamble on a guy who might turn out to be a great prospect. I need something that's a little more stable. To me, it's Justin Fields.
Hey, Justin Fields. San Francisco's on the clock with the third pick. Trading up.
Which is crazy because I'm going with my guy out of Alabama, Mac Jones, with the third overall pick. Listen, I know, you know what I'm saying, like people got their doubts about Mac Jones, but let's keep it real. Mac Jones had the best year this season, both statistically and they won a national championship. You know, he lost Jalen Waddle halfway through the season, but you know everything kind of remained consistent all the way through the end. And I'm going with Mac Jones here. There's a reason why his stock has been going up the last couple of weeks, because he's a proven winner. And you know, people want to say, all right, well maybe it could be just a product of Alabama, but guess what? He's going into San Francisco 49ers team where they have a top 5 defense, they have really good wide receivers, they got a really good running game, and they got a good offensive line. So it's pretty similar to what he has at Alabama. So if you put him in that situation there, he should be able to excel.
I totally disagree. I think if you're the 49ers, as you mentioned, you trade up to number 3. You don't trade up to number 3 for Mac Jones, because I think you could have gotten him much slower in the draft. And we had this discussion 2 years ago when the Giants took Daniel Jones, where they took him. I felt it's bad quality for the pick. For me, it's Zach Wilson, and it's for all the same reasons I talked about with Patrick Mahomes going to Kansas City.
Right.
If you're the Niners, if you're Kyle Shanahan, you know you're running it back with Jimmy G this year. They've already established that. Tripp, as you mentioned, top 5 defense, Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, a lot of offensive weapons, good offensive line.
Right.
So now you take the quarterback who has the higher upside, knowing that he's going to sit for a year. So that's why I take Zach Wilson. He's not going to touch the field this year anyway, and I think his ceiling is much higher than Mac Jones.
Okay. Atlanta Falcons on the clock with the 4th pick.
I'm going with the guy that I think is the best player in this draft, Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida. The Falcons still got Matt Ryan under contract for another 2 years. And I mean, you know, Matt Ryan is still top half of the league at the quarterback position. Plus, you got Julio Jones. I know he's a little bit older, but Calvin Ridley is just getting into his prime. So now you add a can't miss tight end. He has the potential to be one of those Gronk type tight ends, you know, Kittle, Kelce, those guys. I think he's one of those guys, and I think that's going to make that Atlanta offense crazy this year.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. Kyle Pitts is the pick. For the people listening, remember we're just selecting. We're not assuming any trades are going to take place. Obviously, the Falcons are going to field a lot of offers. But if I'm the Falcons as well, they restructured Matt Ryan's deal. He's going to be there for another 2 years. Julio's locked in. Calvin Ridley. You add Pitts to that offense, I think they become scary good. They could use some help on defense, but Kyle Pitts is probably the best skill position player in the whole draft. So you take him.
Nice. Cincinnati at number 5.
I need some protection. Gotta go O-line, gotta go Penny Sewell. You know, you got Justin Burrow there. He was having a great year up until he got hurt, and a big part of that is they don't have a good offensive line. So you bring in pretty much the best offensive lineman in the draft. He's ranked first at his position. You know, and then you kind of just go from there. They can kind of fill out the team, you know, in the later rounds, but they have to protect their star quarterback, who is also one of those generational talents. But if you can't stay healthy, none of that matters.
You was looking at my notes, man. No, I agree with you though. The left tackle out of Oregon, so you have to keep Joe Burrow upright, as Tripp mentioned. Everything Tripp said is right. And one thing I'll add, they do need a playmaker on the outside.
Yeah.
But adding the help on O-line is going to help Joe Burrow get the ball down the field, and it also help Joe Mixon as well. So
is he the best tackle in the draft? Because I'm hearing a lot of people talk about the other tackle.
You're talking about where do I have
Rashawn
him?
Slater?
Rashawn
Slater.
I've got him going a couple picks later.
But it's Sewell.
I think it's
Is it better?
I think he is.
He's been a top-rated guy. He's been basically the top-rated left tackle for the last 2 years. So
Right.
I think you go with him. And if Burrow had not gotten hurt last year, they probably look at receiver here. But because he missed so much time, you can't allow him to come back and get banged up again.
Right. It gets interesting at number 6. Miami is on the clock.
Oh, we're going to get some targets for my main man Tua out of Alabama University. Roll Tide, thank you very much. It's going down. They need Jamar Chase. They're bringing him in. You're going to give Tua his number one wide receiver. Jamar Chase, prior to taking this season off, was probably the best wide receiver, or arguably the best wide receiver in college football. I think he's going to transition well. He's was 6'5", I think he is, something like that.
Yeah.
He's got speed. He can pretty much do it all. So I got Jamar Chase going down to Miami.
I agree. For pretty much all the same reasons. Tua needs a guy. If you're Miami, you need to know what you have in Tua, so you give him the big receiver. They've got some other speed threats with Jakeem Grant and Devontae Parker. So now you add the stable route-running receiver. And let's not forget, even though Jamar Chase sat out last season, the year before he was considered the best receiver on that LSU team, which also produced Justin Jefferson, who was the offensive rookie of the year last year. So if he's better than Justin Jefferson, I need that guy in Miami.
Yeah. Number 7, Detroit is on the clock.
Number 7 is Denver.
No,
That's Detroit.
I'm sorry. No, Detroit. If I'm Detroit, I'm going wide receiver.
Wide receiver.
Jalen Waddle. They lost Galladay, Jones. They bring in Stafford, so they upgrade. They bring in Goff, so he's gonna need a little bit more help at those those wide receiver spots. He pretty much don't have no targets right now. So Jalen Waddle, who although he did get hurt halfway through the season, he's still ranked second at wide receiver. I probably equate him to like a Tyreek Hill, Antonio Brown type of wide receiver, because one of those small, quick, speedy guys that can get downfield. But I think they go with Jalen Waddle at that pick.
So I also think they go receiver, but I think they go with the other Bama receiver. I think they go with Devontae Smith.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to save him for the Giants.
Listen, I know personal reasons you want him to keep falling, but we can't overlook the fact, as you mentioned, they lost their top 2 targets from last year. They need a playmaker for Goff.
Right.
And they need somebody, again, who can take the top off the defense.
Right.
They got Kerryon Johnson last year. Good running back, but he's not an explosive running back. So you need somebody on the outside who can do that. We know Devontae Smith can do it. They play on turf 8 times a year, so maybe he goes in and puts up big numbers right away.
At one point they were talking about him going as high as number 2 or 3.
Well, I think if Miami had not traded out, I think Miami would have seriously considered taking him at 3. Again, a Bama guy, has ties to Tua.
Yeah.
But I think Miami did the great thing by trading out, because Miami put themselves in position to acquire more draft capital while still being able to get a playmaker.
Do you think he's better than Chase?
No. I like Chase more. I think his game is more suited for the NFL. I think Devontae Smith may struggle a little bit to become a number 1 receiver.
Carolina Panthers on the clock, number 8.
I'm going back to the offensive line because they need a lot of help. I'm gonna take the second best lineman in the draft, who we mentioned a little while ago, Rashawn Slater.
Yeah.
They need it. They need the help. They need the help. They need that offensive line secured, because you can't lose Christian McCaffrey for another season. You got to keep that line intact, and everything runs through Christian McCaffrey. So he needs the help, and they got a lot of young quarterbacks in the mix, so you got to protect them.
Yeah, I agree. It has to be Rashawn Slater, but I think for a couple other reasons. One, you make the trade for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
You're giving up that 2nd and 4th next year. They're going to pick up that 5th-year option. So these next 2 years, they need to know what they have with Sam. So you got to get them protection. They've also had 8 different left tackles start over the last 8 years, so they need some stability at that position as well.
Yeah, and finally, Sam needs an offensive line around him, because we don't know what he's capable of doing unless he has an offensive line. So we'll see. Denver at number 9.
Now Zach Collins comes off the board, going to Denver.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Zach Wilson. They don't like what they got at quarterback. Drew Lock. Nobody likes him. And
It's like they're always looking for quarterbacks.
yeah, man. They got my man Jerry Jeudy out there, like with nobody to throw him the football. So they got to step their game up. So I'm going. You know, Zach Wilson. I got them picking the quarterback at that spot.
So I don't necessarily agree. I think they're iffy on Drew Lock, but Drew Lock's only going into his third year, and I don't think bringing in another young quarterback solves their real issue. They want to compete. If you look at the money they spent this offseason bringing in Kyle Fuller, re-upping Justin Simmons, they want to compete this year. So I think they're going to run it back with Drew Lock, but I think they want to get younger on defense. Von Miller's getting older, so for me, it's Micah Parsons, the best linebacker on the board.
Wow.
You add him to that defense with Bradley Chubb, Kyle Fuller on the outside, Justin Simmons, I think they create a stronger defense and try to compete to get a wild card spot.
Wow, okay. Dallas, clock number 10.
I hate that I gotta do this. You know what?
Cowboy fans in the building.
There's always a Cowboy fan lurking somewhere around. I hate that I got to do this because this is one of my guys out of Alabama. This is a legacy kid. I think he's the best cornerback in football. You know, they got him ranked at second at the position, but Patrick Surtain is second.
Yeah.
Alabama, man, that defense. He's a shutdown corner. Somebody's gonna be in this league for 10 years at least.
Yeah.
At that position, and if I'm Dallas, I can get I mean, they pretty much set on the offensive end. Maybe they could use a little help at the tight end position, but there's nobody that high. You know, they're gonna draft at that spot. So go to the defense, show up that secondary with Patrick Surtain the second. Roll Tide.
Completely agree. It's got to be Pat Surtain here. That defense was historically bad last year, especially giving up big passing plays.
Yeah.
So you need that. They lost Byron Jones, remember, last offseason to the Dolphins, so they haven't found a replacement.
Right.
He fits in perfectly for them. And like Tripp said, offensively, they seem pretty set. So now it's time to get younger and more athletic on the defensive side of things.
Hopefully Dallas gets to this time. Remember they went for like Claiborne a couple of years ago. He was like the highest guy, and then he just
Yeah, that didn't work out.
That didn't work out.
Yeah. I think it ain't really worked out since Terrence Newman. That was like the last good. That was like the last good corner they drafted, right?
Word.
New York Giants on the clock at number 11.
Straight where the camera's at. We good? I just want to show y'all know what's up. All right, I've been saving this guy. Roll Tide, the player of the game, the national championship game. My man, who I believe is the best wide receiver in this draft class, Devonta Smith. He's going to New York. He's going to be alongside Galladay and Slayton. Hopefully Saquon will be back healthy to start the season. And you know, they got a Rudolph up in there and Evan Ingram still. I think he completes that offense and makes them the best offense in the East.
I mean, it's a solid pick. Gettleman is very high on him. There's no secret about it.
Okay.
On my draft board, I already have him off. And I think, to me, the Giants feel a bigger need, and that's on the defensive line. The defense is really good. They've done a good job with their secondary, plug-and-play guys and getting some veterans there. Mm-hmm. But if you look at their D-line, their leading sack guy last year, Leonard Williams had 11.5 sacks. The next closest guy had 4.
Wow.
So to me, they take the best pass rusher in the draft, Jalen Phillips out of Miami.
Wow. Okay.
I don't mind that. Either way, if I didn't go offense and I went defense though, I would have taken Micah Parsons out of Penn State.
He's off my board already though.
Cause he's off your board. Yeah.
GM your teams. Right?
Oh, so the Phillies on the clock. So we got Dallas, New York, and now Philly. 3 NFC East teams in a row.
East.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got Micah Parsons going to Philly.
To Philly?
Yep, I think he's the best defensive player in the draft. You know, even though I still got a couple of quarterbacks available, one of the top guys still available on my list. I don't think the Eagles go for a quarterback. I think they let Jalen Hurts go. And see what he has this season, but they have to get better on the defensive side of the football. They were horrible last season, and I think that Micah is the best defensive player in this draft, and he's a difference maker from the first time he steps on the field.
Yeah, I agree with Mike. I just don't. I don't have him on my board at this point. Like I said, I don't know if he lasts this long. Philly has a lot of holes they need to fill. Offensive line is old. Defensive line is
It
old.
always seems like Philly has a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah, a lot of holes to fill, and that's why they traded out of 6. Like Tripp said, I don't think they're targeting a quarterback because if they were, they probably would have stood at 6.
Right.
So dropping back, they want more value. I think they take the second best corner, J.C. Horn, who's another legacy kid because his father Joe Horn played for the Saints. Big physical corner. They need a guy. They need some stability in that secondary. They tried it with Darius Slay. It didn't work out. They need to get young. They need to get more athletic. I think J.C. Horn fills that need for him.
Do you believe in a quarterback?
It's going to be tough to tell, honestly, because he didn't play enough last year. I think he had 4 starts.
So a small sample, basically.
Very small sample. You got a new head coach coming in, so a whole new offensive system. I think we got to give him at least a full year before we can fully evaluate him.
Yeah, that's true. LA Chargers on the clock. I keep calling them San Diego.
It's a habit.
All right. So with the Chargers, they got their guy last year. Their quarterback Justin Herbert last year, and so I think now they're good, and he turned out to be better than anybody thought he was going to be last season. But you have to protect him. So I'm going back to the offensive line. I'm taking Kristen Darisaw. You got to protect your young quarterback,
right.
man. And I think they're pretty good. They got a good young running back out there. So I think now it's time to protect the quarterback.
That's actually a great pick. I was leaning towards him, but I think they want some versatility on their defense. Derwin James, the safety, they like to move him around a lot, but he was hurt last year.
Yeah, he's been banged up.
And they want to try to get him away from playing in the box so much. They want to let him kind of roam. So I think they go after more of a combo type guy out of Notre Dame, Jeremiah Owusu-Koroma. He's plays safety, plays linebacker, similar to Isaiah Simmons from last year, who the Cardinals drafted. I think that's what they want on their defense, a little more versatility so that Derwin James doesn't have to play in the box.
Guys doing their homework now. Y'all been doing your homework. Minnesota's on the clock. 14th pick.
Now you got him off your board already, Eric, but now I'm going with the guy who was the best pass rusher in this draft, Jalen Phillips, going to Minnesota. I think last year they losing Diggs but bringing in Justin Jefferson turned out to be a very big move, so they kind of replaced what they lost on the offensive side of the football, but defensively they need to be able to get to the quarterback, and bringing in the best pass rusher in this draft will definitely help with that.
Yeah, Minnesota definitely needs to get to the quarterback. Like you said, I have Jalen Phillips off. Azeez Ojulari, I have as the guy there. He's more of a physical defensive end, but he still gets pressure on the quarterback, great and run, and I think he'll be a guy that fills an immediate hole where he can start day one, similar to the guys they were able to draft last year who were immediate starters.
New England Patriots on the clock, 15. Get interesting here.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, because now I'm going back to quarterback. As much as I want to see Cam succeed, I don't know how much time Cam has left. As far as because he's probably past his prime at this point with all the injuries, unless he just has an amazing year. But I think you draft the second coming or whoever's next, and I think that's Trey Lance.
Trey Lance.
Yeah, and again, for the people listening at home, we're not projecting any trades. I think all of us think the Patriots will try to trade to get a quarterback.
Yeah, they're going to trade up.
Right.
Straight up.
But in this scenario, I also haven't taken a quarterback. I haven't taken Mac Jones because on my board, he falls based off of need. Mm-hmm. None of the other teams really need a quarterback. He would fall to the Patriots, and it's a perfect setup for them. Again, he could sit for a year, let Cam run the show while he learns the offense from Josh McDaniels.
Nice. Arizona Cardinals on the clock, 16.
If I'm Arizona, I'm going defense. Working on my secondary. I'm taking J.C. Horn, and we're gonna rock out. I think they're good on the offense right now. They got a lot of wide receivers out there. They got enough threats for Kyler Murray to throw to. The running game is secure, but they got to work on that defense. And I think for them, the secondary is the biggest need that they have on defense. So if my main man Patrick Surtain, Roll Tide is off the board already, we going J.C. Horn.
So I think secondary is a big need for them, but at corner they're pretty good. They got Byron Murphy and they also got Malcolm Butler.
Peterson got released.
He got released, so they're going a little younger. But there's a player on my board that's dropped, and I think at this point Arizona couldn't pass up on him, and that's Jalen Waddle. I think if you're Arizona, granted you got D-Hop,
Yeah.
you added A.J. Green, but A.J. Green is more of a possession guy.
Yeah.
You want that guy who can still take the top off the defense. I think you add Jalen Waddle to that offense, they become even more explosive. And that's not to say that you wouldn't want to fill some of those other needs, but a player like him who was rated top 10 on everybody's board, if he slips, you got to take him at
so
16.
it's basically taking the best player available.
Absolutely.
At that time. All right. Las Vegas Raiders on the clock, 17.
Same thing. I'm going defense again with the Raiders, and I'm going to take the second best linebacker in this draft that I think Jamin Davis.
Okay.
They got to shore up that defense. They drafted their wide receiver. They're not changing that at quarterback right now. They got their young running back with Josh Jacobs, so they got to start filling in holes on the defensive side of the football.
They got holes on the defensive side, but there's another player who's dropped, again, based off of projections, because there's no trades.
Right.
Trey Lance. John Gruden's been trying to get his quarterback.
Wow.
They are 1 year removed from they're 1 year away from being able to get away from David Carr's contract. So I think you take Trey Lance now. Again, he can sit for a year. Super potential with this kid. We know about all the upside.
Yeah.
And if he's there, you're Vegas, you got to take him.
You know, believe in
Mariota?
Or Mariota, yeah.
Nah, come on.
Miami on the clock again at 18. What do they do here?
Roll Tide one more time.
Oh, whoa.
I'm sorry, I'm doing it. I'm bringing in Najee Harris, the best running back in this draft class. We just drafted Jamar Chase earlier in the day. We got our young quarterback, we got our young wide receiver, and now we got our young running back. We got the trifecta going down. I'm good.
You don't think that's a little high for a running back?
Roll Tide. Nope.
Very high. That's a shocker.
Nope.
That's a shocker.
I'm going. He's somebody who already has that chemistry with Tua.
Correct.
From being at Alabama, so I just think it's the perfect fit, and they have a high pick in the second round too. So I think they can work on defense in the second round.
Oh, he was there when Tua was there as well, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
I think they work on their O-line. We talked about they get the receiver, and for me, it's Christian Dershaw here. They secure their O-line, get to some protection. He also helps in the run game, and then ultimately you solidify from the trenches. So I think that's where they go with it.
The Washington football team.
I'm going O-line. Elijah Vera, USC. I think they need help. I think they got to strengthen up that O-line. They O-line. If you look at their D-line and their O-line, that balance is completely off. They got to work on the offensive line. So bringing a guy that can help out with that, and Elijah Vera, I think that's the pick for Washington.
Solid pick. I got them going O-line as well. Tevin Jenkins. They want to get stronger in the running game. They really like Antonio Gibson that they have there now.
Yeah.
They solid at receiver because they got Curtis Samuel to go with what's the other kid? Scary Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
So I think they show up their O-line for Fitzpatrick there.
Yeah. Fitzpatrick is just a filling gap for like 2 years or so.
He's a filling gap. Again, if they're able to trade up to get a quarterback, they probably will.
Yeah.
But at this point, the top 5 guys are all off the board, so they probably got to wait to the second round to get a quarterback.
Right. Number 20th pick, Chicago is on the clock.
I'm going back to offense. Andy Dalton might gonna need some time out there.
I forgot about that.
Red Rifle.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
So I'm going with Rashad Bateman at wide receiver. After the top guys are already going off the board at this point, but I think he is a solid receiver that can contribute. So I'm going wide receiver.
I'm going defense. They got a major hole in their secondary because they had to cut Kyle Fuller.
Right.
So I think they go with Caleb Farley here at number 20. He's probably a top 15 talent, but has had to deal with some back injuries, and that's why he's sliding on most people's draft board. So I think for them to get him at 20 to be able to fill that immediate need is a steal.
Your team is on the clock. Indianapolis at 21.
Yeah. All right. So originally, I was kind of torn about whether I wanted to go offense or defense, but then I kept thinking T.Y. just can't stay healthy. They drafted Michael Pittman, but I think that they go wide receiver at this spot, and I'm bringing in Elijah Moore.
Oh, wow.
From out of Ole Miss.
Oh, you reaching.
Listen, they need help. I need help,
Reaching.
I was trying to get y'all some defense, but I was like, you know what? I need a wide receiver out there.
Eric, this is your team, so you should know what y'all need best.
Yeah, I think there's a receiver that's better than him that's on the board still. But the biggest need for this Colts team is a pass rusher. They got to be able to get to the quarterback. That's what killed them in that playoff game against your Buffalo Bills.
That's right.
The problem is, do you go with somebody more established? There's a couple guys that are more established, but I think they're going to go with the young guy, Greg Rousseau out of Miami. 20 years old, very raw, been compared to JPP. And again, because of the stability on the rest of that defense at linebacker, at secondary,
Right.
he's not a guy who needs to start from day one. He can become a rotational guy who ultimately becomes a starter. So I think that's where they go.
Nice. Tennessee on the clock at 22.
All of our cornerbacks got away from us this season, so we got to bring somebody in to get out in the secondary and try to get a pass deflection or an interception. So I'm taking a guy that's ranked as the number 1 cornerback in the draft, Caleb Farley.
Okay.
I've got them going for a bigger need on defense. They were ranked 30th in sacks last year. The experiment with Jadeveon Clowney and Vic Beasley did not work out well at all.
Right.
So I think they take Kwity Paye out of Michigan.
Yeah. Okay. New York Jets on the clock once again at 23. We're doing here, Trey.
I'm going on the defensive side of the football now. I'm going Greg Newsome, cornerback. They need some help out there too. They need some help. The Jets got a whole lot of holes that they got to fill.
Yeah.
But I'll take a solid cornerback with that later pick in the first round.
So they've got plenty of holes. You're absolutely right about that. I mean, there's no wrong pick really for the Jets right here. But I think since in my board and Trip, we both had him taking Justin Fields. Go get him a weapon now. Denzel Mims was not good for you last year. Perriman is no longer there. You don't have the playmaker. So I think you take Terrence Marshall Jr. He ran a 4.38. He's a big receiver, 6'4", 200 pounds. I think he'll be the perfect target to pair with Justin Fields early on in their career.
Oh, okay. Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock at 24.
I know I'm taking this kid high, but they need a running back. They need to replace.
Trip got 2 running backs coming off the board.
I'm sorry, I gotta do it. I'm going Travis Etienne.
Etienne, ooh.
Pittsburgh needs a running back.
Unheard of.
They got most of the running backs this year coming off later in the draft.
That's been
right?
the trend.
That's been the trend.
That's been the trend. So Travis Etienne, I like him.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. It could go that route. I don't think Pittsburgh will.
They lost Connor. He's gone. Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah,
stunk up the joint last year.
Yeah,
and I think you can find a running back in the second and third round. I don't think you have to spend a first round pick. The biggest replacement they're trying to fill though is Bud Dupree, who left to Tennessee. They need that pass rusher.
Right.
They need that pass rusher on the opposite side of T.J. Watt. So for me, I think they take Jason Uwe, another defensive end who can fill in right away, start from day one opposite T.J.
Jacksonville's on the clock once again at 25.
Now I think Jacksonville goes out. They get a wide receiver to go along with Trevor Lawrence, and I'm taking Rondell Moore.
Okay.
All right. Well, this pick that Jacksonville has, this is the 25th pick. This came back in the Jalen Ramsey trade, right, with the Rams?
Yeah, the Rams.
So I think they replaced Jalen Ramsey right now with Greg Newsome II. Big physical corner. Again, possibly start from day one. You got to shore up that defense a little bit. So what better way to do it than get, as you mentioned, one of the top-rated cornerbacks, probably the second or third rated overall. So you get him at 25.
Cleveland on the clock at 26. They made some moves recently.
They did. I know they just brought in
Clowney?
Yeah, Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
But he be getting them ticky-tack injuries, and I'm not 100% sure on what I'm going to get from him this season. So I'm drafting Jeremiah Owasu from Cleveland at that position.
Okay. You're right. He has a lot of ticky-tack injuries, but overall, this is a great roster. When you look at the talent top to bottom on the team, they're loaded, and there was no secret why they won the second round of playoffs. I think the one area that they do need to improve is at linebacker. So for me, Jermaine Davis, who on my board fell a little bit, I think you had him going like at 20.
Yeah.
I have him going a little lower.
17.
Oh, you had him at 17. I have him at 26, but fast and physical, you match him up with Mack Wilson, and now you got a nice little duo there.
Baltimore at 27.
All right, now we talking. My other team, my AFC team right here. As much as I want, if I'm Baltimore, to draft a wide receiver, I just think that anybody that's worth drafting in the first round is already off the board at this point. But I will take the best safety in this draft at 27, and that's Trevor Moehrig. I think he's going to be really good. And, I mean, you get the best safety in college football going into the Baltimore Ravens secondary, I think he'll be just fine.
Understandable. I got him a little lower, but there was a receiver left on my board because Tripp went on that crazy run of receivers and running backs. There was a good receiver left on mine. Rashard Bateman's still on the board for me. So Rashard Bateman, I think, goes there. A physical receiver who you can match up with Hollywood Brown. Is he going to be a number one receiver? Only time will tell, but they do need the receiver, though.
Watkins is over there now, right?
Yeah, but Sammy's been banged up
for years,
Sammy's been banged up since y'all left
Buffalo, yeah. Do you believe he deserves a contract extension, Lamar Jackson?
Yeah.
Of course. So he got an MVP already.
MVP, yeah, you have to. You have to.
Because he's due, him and Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield, so...
I mean, all three of them deserve it. I mean, young guys who all have playoff wins already, right? Josh Allen's in the MVP conversation.
I think Buffalo better sign him quicker because once Jackson, once one gets one, the next one's going to want more money.
Well, you're going to like who I have Buffalo taking, and it's for that reason,
Let's see. New Orleans on the clock at 28.
I'm working on the defensive side of the football. I mean, I think New Orleans is pretty set offensively. You still got Michael Thomas out there, Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill. You still got your quarterback spots ready. The offensive line is showed up, so I'm going defense, and I'm going Zaven Collins out of Tulsa. Linebacker, you need the extra linebacker help in New Orleans.
Yeah, that's a solid pick, but I do think they have a area of weakness on offense, and that's at the number 2 receiver. They lost Emmanuel Sanders. We saw Michael Thomas missed a lot of time last year.
Right.
And with now transitioning to Jameis, I think you want to try to get him as many weapons as possible.
That's right. Drew Brees retired.
Right. So Kadarius Toney out of Florida, for me, is the guy there. A fast receiver who would complement all the route running for Mike Thomas. And again, dome team playing on the turf, speed seems even faster.
Green Bay on the clock at 29.
The Packers do what they should have did last year, and they draft a wide receiver in the first round to go along with Aaron Rodgers, and on the other side of Devontae. That's where I got Kadarius Toney going.
Okay,
makes sense. I've got him taking a safety here, Trayvon Moehrig. Their secondary was a little banged up last year. They struggled, especially in that game against Tampa. They gave up a lot of big plays, so they need some help in the secondary, and I think he's a quality selection at number 29.
My Buffalo Bills on the clock at number 30. What are we doing here?
I got you, bro. I'm gonna help your secondary out, and I'm going with the Ifeatu Melifonwu.
Corner?
Yep.
Yeah, Kerry.
Yeah, I need some help in the secondary. Only other position where I feel like, or offensively at least, is the tight end position, and there's no other tight ends.
Or running back. We can use another running back.
But you just drafted Zach Moss last year, so I'm going to draft a running back. Yes, exactly. You still got Singletary. So I went on the defensive side, and I showed up the secondary.
Yeah.
As the acting GM of the Buffalo Bills, I've got to ask you, are you happy with Singletary and Zach Moss?
No, I'm not.
You're not, right? That's why I got a gift for you. Because remember when I was here 2 years ago and I raved about Ed Oliver, and then you guys drafted Ed Oliver, and I told you. So now, there was a particular guy, when I looked at your team, and I said, what does this team need? They got a future MVP at quarterback.
Yeah.
You got one of the top 5 receivers.
Yeah.
Right? Dawson Knox is developing at tight end.
You like Dawson Knox?
Listen, you're not asking him to be an 80-catch tight end.
Right.
You need him to be more of a blocker and release. Right? So what do you need? You need a battering ram at running back. You need to bring back what you had with Marshawn Lynch. And that's why Najee Harris is going to the Buffalo Bills.
I
you bring in Najee Harris with that offense. They become damn near unstoppable at that point because now the play action pass is in play every down. And Najee Harris can catch out of the backfield similar to Marshawn. I think he's the perfect fit for Buffalo.
Yeah, we've drafted a couple of good running backs in the past. McGee.
Yeah, McGee.
Lynch. Spiller. Well, Spiller was okay.
CJ was solid.
And a couple of other guys as well. So, we definitely need an upgrade.
I think Najee Harris, this is the perfect landing spot for him.
So you want running back over cornerback? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Definitely.
How many times you gonna take a chance on a running back, man?
No, but I'm saying at 30.
I mean, I'm not mad. Roll Tide because
that's great value. Right.
Listen, I'm okay with that pick just because there's only 2 teams that I don't like my guys going to, and that's the Eagles or the Cowboys, because then I can't root for them. So I'm okay with him going to Buffalo.
31, Kansas City.
I'm going Roll Tide again, man. Roll Tide. I'm taking Christian Barmore, defensive lineman out of Alabama, Crimson, baby. Everybody get your roll on, okay? Yeah, Sean, Florida.
Oh, he's Florida. He like
FSU.
he's the U.
FSU.
Oh, Florida State.
Yeah, Florida State.
Florida State since Deion Sanders days.
Yeah, they ain't win since Deion Sanders days either.
Peter Ward too.
Chris Winkie days.
Yeah, I had number 9 in high school and all that.
I flip flopped on him, and we both have him going in the first round, and he on our boards at least he's falling because most projections have him as a top 20 talent. But I've got the Chiefs staying O-line because even though they addressed it, Kyle Long is one of the guys they signed for free agency. Kyle Long was retired last year, so you don't even know what he has right now. I think they take Samuel Cosmi, a guy who can play either tackle spot and can play a little bit of guard and gives them depth because we know that's what their biggest issue was come playoff time last year. So they go O-line.
The last pick of the draft, Tampa Bay, the champions, 32. What are we doing here?
I mean, I feel like Tampa Bay brought everybody back last year, so they don't even need nobody.
But ain't got many holes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just going Alex Leatherwood. I'm just going to get some extra offensive line help in there just for the rotation, just in case. Have a solid offensive lineman there that you can just plug and play, just because, you got to keep my man Tom Brady safe. You don't need him getting run around. He in his 40s now. You got to have him, give him his time to throw the football to all his all-pro wide receivers and tight ends and running backs that he got.
No, it makes sense. I got him taking Christian Baymore here. Again, a guy who top half of the first round he probably should have gone, but based on need, he kind of kept slipping on my board. But for Tampa Bay, the reason it makes sense is Sue's older. Vita Vea's going to need a contract soon, and because they brought all those other
already,
since they brought all those other guys back, you may have to lose somebody. So to be able to get a guy who's top 20 talent at number 32, you got to take him.
Yeah, Vita Vea's he just signed, drafted just like yesterday.
He's been in the league a few years now.
Yeah. All right, that wraps the draft, but let's talk about some guys that are sleepers. What do you think are the sleepers that everyone's sleeping on that could be a real stud in this draft?
Well, the crazy thing is, who I said was a sleeper 2 weeks ago on the show wound up his stock went up, and that was Mac Jones.
Mac Jones?
And literally after I said that, they start talking about him.
Do you think his being out of shape with the big belly and all that stuff is gonna affect him?
He out of shape, man. He out of shape. Better recognize who you dealing with.
Man, playing college ball is different from the NFL.
I'm saying
he probably get away with that.
He's just coming off of winning a national championship game. He gonna be all right.
He'll be all right.
Yeah.
Mac was drinking them ice cold 40s. He was celebrating. He was celebrating.
He might have been. Plus it's COVID. You got the COVID 20.
Okay.
You get the extra pounds on. But I would say outside after that, I would probably go with Rashad Bateman. I think he's going to be better than a lot of people think he will, and I think he's going to go a little bit later in the draft. So I think that whoever gets him, I think we could be looking at a similar Justin Jefferson type of situation where I think he was that guy last year who wasn't rated as high and then just came in and blew the doors off of everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously always about where you land. Justin Jefferson, it was a perfect situation. They had Adam Thielen, they had Kirk Cousins, and Delvin Cook, you know what I'm saying? So he just had to come in and kind of play his role. But there's a couple guys I like. I like Jalen Phillips a lot, and that's why on my board, when I have him going to the Giants, I think he can be an immediate impact player in the league. He's one of those guys, again, that's built to disrupt. Long, lengthy, knock down balls, get to the quarterback, good in the run game. I think he can do it all. I like Caleb Farley as well, but he got to stay healthy. And depending on where he lands, he could be an impact guy. But the one guy to me I think is going to be a stud just from day one, I think is Patrick Surtain. He's probably the most polished guy.
Yeah, his father was really, people forgot about him in Miami. His father was a
very good corner. He's a very polished.
Roll Tide, thank you very much.
Very polished corner who's going to come in. And a lot of guys who come out of college are so zone-based that they struggle man-to-man. This dude plays man-to-man all game.
Yeah.
So it's going to be nothing to him to come in and just bump and run and play physical all game with receivers. I think he's going to have a good rookie year.
Do you think it's going to be like how Antoine Winfield with his father and son, teaching him almost kind of like the same position on defense, teaching his son what he learned?
He's a legacy kid.
Kid.
Those guys at that age, they understand the game far greater than their age.
Right.
We saw that Winfield started from day one.
Yeah.
On a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
And was an impact player. He wasn't just some guy running around. He was an impact player on that defense. I think Patrick Surtain. I'm not saying the Cowboys going to win the Super Bowl. Calm down. But I'm saying take it easy. But I do think day one immediate impact.
And his father was good too. Started in Buffalo, then he went to the Vikings and played a couple of places.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think about Horn? Because remember, his son is the opposite for him.
Yeah.
Horn played wide receiver, and his son plays on defense, right?
There's advantages to that.
There's tell him what to look for as far as like
absolutely understanding footwork, understanding positioning, understanding routes. You know what I'm saying? combination of routes because, again, if you're a guy who plays a lot of zone, you got to understand and react what's in front of you, but you don't want to get baited into something. You got to understand that what's coming here is leading to what's coming here.
Right.
So I like him a lot as well. Again, depending on where he lands. I just don't think his upside is as great as Surtain, though.
How about the other one, Patrick, Asante Samuel Jr.? His father was good. What do you think about his son now, the junior?
I think his son will be okay.
Depending on what system he goes into?
Yeah, I think depending on where he lands in the draft, he's probably going to go somewhere in the second round of the draft. But again, I think one thing where the legacy kids have a leg up is because they have access to a lot of things that the average player doesn't have. So that could be NFL training camps and things like that. So just from the knowledge standpoint, he has a step ahead of a lot of other cornerbacks in this draft, but I think that it is going to be determined by where he goes as well. Because if you throw him into a team that is already, pretty much set with their secondary, I think he can be really effective out of the gate. But if you just throw, if he's your best cornerback out there, then it's gonna be rough for him.
Yeah, I think if he has his father's smarts, because his dad had a very high football IQ and was able to overcome. Because Asante Samuel wasn't a big physical corner. He wasn't fast.
Was he slot? He was a slot corner, wasn't he?
Guy. I don't even think he was 6 feet tall. Yeah. So he might have been like 5'10", 5'11". Small in stature, but he was so smart. He understood, again, concepts, routes, and he knew how to jump passes. So if his son has that type of football IQ, he'll be all right. But to Tripp's point, where you land. If you're expecting him to man up all game, it's not his game. But if you throw him in zone, put him in slots, then he has an opportunity to be effective.
All right, before we wrap it up, we talked about the big upside. Who do you think is getting the hype is going to be a bust?
Oh, that's easy. You want to go first?
Mac Jones.
Nah.
No, I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to be Mac Jones because of who drafts him. Because even if, like, Eric had him going to the Patriots, right? I think that would still be a good fit long term for him. So I think he'd still be good. And if he goes where I got him going to the 49ers, he's definitely going to be good because they pretty much set, offensively and defensively. So who I think is going to be a bust. Honestly, I hate to say it, but I really think it's Zach Collins, man. Zach
Wilson.
I mean, I keep saying Collins. Yeah, Zach Wilson. I'm just not sure on Zach Wilson. Like he gonna have to show me that he can do it.
I agree.
I'm not saying he can't, but he got to show me.
Yeah.
Especially if he goes to the Jets.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
thrilled
why
about
him for the Jets.
Yeah,
I'm not thrilled about Trevor Lawrence's comments recently in that SI article. But I don't think he's gonna be a bust though. I think Trey Lance, to me, has bust written all over him, bro.
Oh, really?
This dude played one college year. He ain't played a meaningful football game in over a year. He ain't played meaningful football in over a year. And we're throwing him in this conversation with Justin Fields and some of these other guys. Obviously, Trevor
They
Lawrence.
say he's better than Fields. They say he might be like the next Josh Allen, man.
That's
Raw talent, just put some talent around him. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but he played, again, he played the 2019 season. He obviously sat out the whole 2020 season. And we have no recent film on him to really know what we're evaluating. So even though Mac Jones only started 1 year, we're going off a recent season. You know what I'm saying? Zach Wilson, recent season. A guy who pretty much been sitting around and all he's been doing is lifting weights for a year. You're going to look great throwing in a T-shirt and some shorts.
Yeah.
Can you read a coverage? Can you do the things that people were expecting you to do? Now, in my draft, like I said, I have him going 17, so it wouldn't be that big of a gamble.
Yeah.
But some of these teams that are looking to get him at top 5, you better hope that he's as good as advertised. Because if you're wasting the top 5 and he turns out to be Josh Rosen, you won't be a GM
Someone's
much
getting
longer.
Fired.
You won't be a GM much longer.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Thanks for coming through.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate you, man. It's always fun times, man.
We're going to see, who's GM actually coming close.
We might have to do another live draft reaction like we did last year. Remember we got on the call last year? We might have to do that one again.
We need to. We definitely need to.
Hey, I didn't get a chance to do my research. I've been so busy and stuff like that. I'll tell you who my sleepers were. Who I thought. I don't know anybody. The only person I like is I like Pitts a lot though. I like Pitts a lot. You know. So hopefully
I do think he's the best player in the draft.
So we'll see. Depending on the situation that he ends up in. So. All right, fellas. Oh, before you leave, let people know how they can get in contact with you guys. Gotta let them know.
Yeah, I told y'all before, but
Right.
every Thursday night we on TV, New York City, Verizon 43, BPN 2. If you're not in New York City, you can still watch us every week though at realfansrealtalk.com. Just click on the red button on the homepage and you can watch along with everybody else in the world. The podcast is on all streaming platforms, so just type in Real Fans Real Talk and you can find us. And you can also get us on Shooting the Shit podcast as well, also on all major platforms. We get a little more ratchet though on Shooting the Shit.
Any final words, Eric, too?
Man, we appreciate you having us, man. Again, like I said, Real Fans Real Talk, Shooting the Shit, the Sanchez Show podcast.
You're still doing your thing.
We kept working, man, through the pandemic. We kept putting out that work, man.
All right, this wraps up another episode of Hot Seat. You're shooting us again. Take care and God bless.